Welcome to Bitter Coffee, a comedy podcast from two friends who are pretty much over it. I'm Derek Fanton.
And I'm Kelly Coffee.
Great to have you here.
Excellent.
Kelly,
to have you all here.
A lot has happened since we last recorded the podcast.
You know, a lot has happened.
Since we last recorded, we have launched the podcast. We have a website. We have a listing on iTunes. We're now on Google Play Music as well. Working
Stitcher?
on Spotify. Stitcher,
We're
yes.
on Stitcher.
On Stitcher.
Yep.
Which is very exciting.
It's exciting.
Everything is happening.
It is all happening.
It's pretty cool.
I'm excited.
Me too. I've been most excited by the feedback. I've been most excited by the fact that people seem to, for whatever reason, enjoy listening to us talk to each other. Who would have thought?
You and I
mean,
thought
sure,
that.
in the way back reaches of our minds, we sort of hoped that.
Yeah.
But it's turning out people are digging it, and that's great.
I'm happy.
I can't really express my gratitude enough to the people who are listening, have listened, and have gotten in touch with us and contacted us or sent an email even. People are doing that. It's a thing people are doing.
We have listener emails.
Yep. And so we just want to say thanks and encourage everyone to reach out to us at bittercoffeepod@gmail.com and let us know what you think if you have things you want to comment about. But we wanted to make sure that we went ahead and recognized some folks who wrote us. So did you want to go ahead and fire into an email?
I did. And you know, I did promise you that I wasn't going to use the following term, but I feel like I'm going to use it now anyway. You know what I'm going to do, Derek?
Tell me, Kelly.
I'm going to reach into the mailbag.
Oh, man, the mailbag.
Should I read the whole thing?
Just read the whole thing.
Sure, I'm going to read the whole thing. This is from Emily.
Mm-hmm.
And Emily writes in, "Hey, Derek and Kelly. I've known Derek for 20 years, but I only had the pleasure of meeting Kelly at the Women's March in 2016.
Who would have thought someone would meet you at a march?
I know. You know what? Let's put a pin in that.
Okay,
'Cause
we'll come back to it.
I do want to get back to that.
Okay.
Congrats on the inaugural podcast launch. I laughed out loud as I listened, and I, too, feel like a celebrity when I have an outside relationship with my healthcare providers. Although, when I was given a gynecological exam by a girl who played clarinet in our high school band, that was a bridge too far. Keep up the good work, Emily."
Oh, thank you, Emily.
It was one of the most favorite emails I've ever received.
It's pretty choice.
And here's the thing. I mean, first of all, Emily, I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty terrible.
And I can only speak for myself, but a lot of people that I went to grade school and high school with, I didn't have a great relationship with people who played the clarinet. So
there's a stigma.
yeah, I'm just going
There's
to
a
put that out
certain stigma. Sure.
there. Maybe that's gone away now. I mean, what do you do?
I don't know how to deal with people that I've known in some aspect of my life being in another aspect of my life. So the idea that there was someone that I knew from a band or from an organization, and then I'm seeing them at the doctor's office and they are treating me, my
Yeah,
body
what do you
would
do?
shut down.
Right.
I have no idea how I would handle that situation. That sounds horrific to me. I wouldn't want somebody serving me food at a restaurant who I had gone to school with, much less having anything to do with my reproductive health.
Do you remember when you were a kid and if you saw one of your teachers in the grocery store?
I
It was
do.
like the weirdest thing you've ever seen.
Terrible.
This is like 35 times more
Yes,
weird than
absolutely. I once ran into my bus driver at the town offices when I was in high school or maybe middle school. Neither of us had any idea what to do.
Oh.
It was like she had driven the bus that I rode on like 3 years previous.
Okay.
And suddenly we were thrust together in a situation that was not the bus, and neither of us had any idea what to do with
Yeah,
it.
what do you do?
We just, hi,
Oh, hey.
get me out of here.
Yep.
This is exactly how it went.
So, Emily, you're a brave soul.
Thank you, Emily, for
Thank you,
not
Emily.
only sharing that story, but also, more importantly, writing to us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot. It means the world.
I think it brings up a bigger issue that
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
really didn't think about
Yeah, something
until
else that's come about.
I got this email from Emily. We got this email from Emily.
Mhm.
I really only thought that it was just the two of us that thought that we wanted to have these really great relationships and be the number one patient.
Yeah, the favorite
when going to
patient
see the doctor.
assumed that was you. I guess we should have known when we both found out, oh, you feel that way too? So do I. But of course, we don't extrapolate. We don't get to that point. We assume it's just you and I.
And we also share a lot of weird little quirks.
That's true.
That the rest of the world doesn't.
That's a great point.
So I didn't think too much about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that point really resonated with a lot of people.
It really did.
I got a lot of text messages, and in addition to Emily's email, I got other emails.
We get some Facebook comments about
I got
that.
some Facebook comments. Yeah. So here's the thing. So the next time I go to the doctor's office, which is tomorrow,
Oh, how convenient.
with a new provider,
Oh,
Yeah, the pressure's really on.
So have you fully prepared? Have you
I thought I did.
yourself mentally ready for that?
No, because I thought I was just going to fill out the new patient paperwork, and then that was it. I was going to swing into position one. No, I'm not. It doesn't work like that anymore.
I don't know much about going to the doctor as a woman. I didn't realize it was just like ballet. You just swing into position one, and then, so is there a pas de bourrée? I don't know anything about it.
As a woman, going to the doctor is much more difficult.
Okay, well,
than
no.
ballet. It is
okay, I assume.
so much more difficult for a list of reasons I don't think I need to get into.
This isn't the podcast for it.
Nope.
Not the podcast for
Totally different show.
Okay.
But everybody has that same thing. Everybody has that.
Yeah, as it
I
turns
wanna
out.
So now when I walk into a waiting room of any provider, the pressure is on.
Right.
Because it's not only me being me, it's me outdoing all those other people that now they're no longer fellow patients. They're now just competition.
Right. They're competitors.
Yep.
They're the opposition.
They are.
Yep.
They're the enemy. So that really opened my eyes. Thank you, everybody, for writing in and texting and emailing. And
Speaking of people writing in, there is one thing I wanted to bring up quickly. Folks may recall an anecdote from a previous episode about house balls. If there's something that I have people writing to me or texting me or messaging me about currently, and I'm so excited that this is a part of my life, it is house balls. As it turns out, in that episode, we had discussed the idea that maybe it's a sports podcast. Maybe house balls and crickets, or house ball and cricket is a sports podcast. As it turns out, there may in fact be some kind of podcast or show or something about house balls and cricket, because house balls is a term used in the bowling world to describe the bowling balls that the alley provides to patrons. Those are called house balls.
the balls of the house.
The balls of the house, exactly. I was both amazed and overjoyed to discover that house balls is a thing. I had literally a couple of people say, "Oh, house balls are the balls you use at the bowling alley." So, cricket,
Just common knowledge.
just as it turns out, among the bowling community, of which I am not a member, common knowledge.
Crazy.
Cricket also uses balls, and there are cricket fields and organizations. So I imagine that there are, in fact, house balls at a cricket, what's the word? I don't even, is it an arena?
I think it's in a match.
Field, cricket club, establishment?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Point is.
You know, I do have a friend from Australia.
Okay, I mean, we could.
I'll reach out to her.
Okay, sounds good. Spread the word on the podcast. Maybe.
Yeah. If anybody knows what a cricket field is called,
write us at
let us know. You know what I really love?
bittercoffeepod@gmail.com.
We have no problem tackling the tough topics.
That's so true. We go deep.
We do.
To really hit on the hard-hitting issues of the day.
Right out of the gate.
And obviously that includes the idea that a cricket field might provide balls to their patrons, which would be called house balls for cricket.
Yep. World's falling apart. Let's talk about house balls.
You didn't come here to hear about actionable advice that you could take and improve your life.
No.
You came here to hear about house balls.
Yep. If you thought you were coming to listen to the show for that, you're listening to the wrong podcast, my friends.
Turn away now.
Turn away now. But house ball knowledge.
We got it.
Yep. Our cup runneth over.
Hashtag house ball knowledge. So that's something else I wanted to share about feedback and people getting back to us. House
I
balls.
never don't learn something.
No.
When I do
Every
this show with
episode is educational.
Every
Kelly.
single one.
We strive to educate.
We teach.
PBS, the PBS Podcast Network, soon to feature Bitter Coffee.
I'm going to dovetail right into PBS
Okay.
because I am thinking if the two hosts of my brand new favorite show ever want to take a hiatus, I think we should offer to fill in for them.
Oh, goodness.
Do you know what show I'm talking about?
I think I do because I know where we would fit perfectly.
It's the British Baking Show.
The British Baking Show. I've had people ask when you talk about British Baking Show, specifically the British designer at Logic Supply was very interested in when we were going to talk about British Baking Show.
Talk about it right now, my friend.
I cannot express to you how excited I am that you're excited to talk about the British Baking Show. Tell me everything. Tell me how you've delved into this world.
Now, I have to be honest. There's people there are seasoned viewers of this show. I'm only on season 1.
Okay.
I'm a novice.
Understood.
I'm a beginner.
Okay, we'll set the bar there.
And I can't say enough good things about this show.
Outstanding.
It's my safe place.
Uh-huh.
It's the only reason that I go to work every day is so I can come home and watch that show. That's it.
Some people out there can relate. I'm one of them.
It really is one of my bigger reasons for living.
It's not like any other competition show on American television.
It's not like anything else in the entire world.
We didn't do a good job of selling The First, but I think we're going to do a
No.
really good job of selling the British Bake Off, because this show, it really does make you feel better. It's an improvement to your day, unlike so much of what's on television. I would be hard-pressed to find anyone who would watch an episode of British Bake Off or watch 10 minutes of the British Bake Off and not get into a better mind frame.
I'm
because
so into it.
It's so great. So talk to me about your impressions of... I'm really interested
Mary
in what
Berry and Paul Hollywood?
I'm really interested in what you think of Paul Hollywood and Mary Berry. That's ultimately what I want to know.
It's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to like me. Not unlike a healthcare provider.
Or Tom Colicchio.
Yeah, well, Tom and I are just never going to get along. And that's okay. I found myself the other day, I was making something in the kitchen, and by no stretch of the imagination do I know how to bake or cook. I mean, when I say like I'm making something, I'm heating something up.
Sure, that's making.
But I'm preparing it. I'm preparing a meal. And I spilled something. It might have been some pasta sauce. And I cleaned it up. And then I remember thinking to myself, well, what would Mary Berry think?
Oh, man.
What would Mary Berry think? So the only thing that really concerns me about the show is that I want all of the older people to win.
Oh, okay.
I want all the young people to just kind of fall by the wayside.
Well, they've got a lot of life ahead of them. They've got a lot of life experience. They're going to be
know.
fine. They're, they don't need this. I'm saying because I feel the same way. I want the people who have been doing this for 45 years,
Right.
who have had people enjoy their food, and I would assume people so thankful to have them in their lives. If I had a grandmother who had been baking me cakes since I was born, I would be overjoyed. And so I want them to have that redeeming moment of, it's not just my family who loves this, it is Paul Hollywood and Mary Berry as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on season 1 now.
Mhm.
And I'm really gunning for Howard.
So you're not through season 1 then?
No.
Yet. Okay.
No, I'm in.
No spoilers. Nobody send an email with spoilers.
Yeah,
of British
please
Baking Show.
don't. Just
Sorta
please let
happy.
me have this one thing. Howard he's a great baker, and well, to put it in Paul Hollywood's terms, he does in fact often have a great bake.
Great bake.
Great bake.
Lack of soggy bottoms.
Lack of soggy bottom.
Soggy bottom I have taken into my life and really used to express any situation in which something is subpar.
And when he's told that it tastes good, but the presentation's a bit off,
Mm-hmm.
I see sadness in his eyes.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. And
Yeah.
there's another woman whose name I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And when she sees the younger kids kind of running around the kitchen and she's kind of struggling to finish up in time,
Mm-hmm.
there's a sadness in her eyes.
Oh, boy.
So I think the show breaks my heart a little bit.
That's what makes it great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I do like, unlike Top Chef,
Mm.
when somebody is eliminated from the show,
Mm-hmm.
everybody hugs.
Everybody is so sad to see them go.
And they get to go home during the week, right? They're
Right.
not sequestered
Yeah.
like the
I
top
suppose
shelf.
so for anybody who...
Top shelf. We'll edit that out.
That's the carpentry competition show, Top Shelf.
I would watch that too.
You know what I'm realizing? It's sort of a combination
I
of
would
Forged
watch
in
that.
Fire and Top
Yep.
Chef that I would be into.
They would have to like create their own ladder to climb up to go
Yeah.
chop something
And they have a
down.
time limit, and
Yep.
it has to like hold them for a certain amount of time, or they fail that challenge.
Yep.
Top Shelf.
That's it.
Come on, History Channel, A&E, where are you?
Dear Discovery Channel.
We're back to letters. Always writing letters at this podcast.
I am.
Constantly. Always writing letters.
Always writing letters.
I love the idea of everybody being excited and being happy for each other, and the emotion. I love the interviews that they do between the bakes to sort of feel out how the contestants feel about how they're doing.
I do like that.
The greatest thing is the people who are like, I'm not doing great. I'm probably out of here unless I get my shit together.
Yep.
On Top Chef, it would be like, well, that person fucked me, and
Yep.
there's nothing I can do about it. Where,
It's a whole room of sons of bitches.
exactly. If everyone weren't such shitheads,
Yep.
it'd be fine. But
My
they are.
palate's more refined.
Exactly. But on the Great British Bake Off / British Baking Show, we won't get into the machinations about the various versions. But that
Yeah,
show,
that kind of threw me off initially.
it's hard. It's
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
So that show just feels so much more authentic, and the people seem so much more real, and they just seem like good people. So again, I hope that this is superfluous for anyone who's listening to the podcast. But what the Great British Baking Show is all about or British Bake Off, if you may have heard about it on the BBC. People come in. I think there's 12 when they start.
Sounds about right.
Lines.
Sounds about right.
They have 3 challenges every week. They have a signature bake where there's a theme generally throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of thing you have to make. Might be a bread. It might be a cake. It might be a pudding.
Could be a biscuit.
Which is not, the puddings are not something we even have here, which
Nope.
is magical. And so they have to cook something that they have prepared. It's their signature bake. It has to be in their style of that theme. The second challenge is the blind challenge, which I just think is brilliant. And I love the idea. The fact that they would say, you are good amateur bakers. We are going to come in. We're going to give you a recipe that you have never seen before. It's also very abbreviated because you should be able to use your expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And you make this thing that literally no one has ever heard of. It is never like make a tart that has strawberries in it or make like a cream-filled cookie. It's some weird 19th century recipe that no one has ever heard of.
Yep.
And it's usually, they have to make that then blind, essentially. They have to cook it, then it's judged. Then the last one is the showstopper. They have to build something that is, show-stopping. That is amazing, that creates this aura of, you have really killed this challenge. You are amazing. Look at the incredible thing that you have done. The amount of times that they get it 100% right is probably like 10%.
Maybe
10%. But you root for them the whole time. And they don't give up. Well, there's that one time that somebody gives up. Well, maybe we'll get into that at some point. But anyway.
His name's Ian.
Yeah, most of the time they don't give up.
Yeah, he threw his cake right in the garbage.
Binned it, as they say.
Yep,
Binned
threw it in the bin.
Ugh, foolish. But
Yep.
I just love the idea that these folks are so passionate and they're so excited. It makes me excited to watch.
It's a great show.
Great show.
We could do a whole show on the British Baking Show. I feel like we just did.
This won't be the last time we talk about
No.
British Baking Show.
I don't think it's going to be the last time we talk about it this episode.
Probably we'll reference it again.
Might just keep on coming up.
Come back for more British Baking Show talk.
But I can't remember the last time I loved a show more.
Yeah.
And I find, I have a little issue with you.
Okay.
It's nothing major. I don't think it's.
Well, I'll be the judge of that, Kelly.
I don't think it's going to really affect our friendship too much after enough time passes.
Wow, you're selling it.
I know. You had asked me if I was watching. What's the new scary show on Netflix?
The Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah. Okay. I can't remember the title because it's just too many words that sound familiar.
Well, I get the idea that you may have blocked it out of your mind.
Well, I have. I think for the sake of this conversation, we're just going to refer to it as H cubed.
Okay, H cubed.
Okay?
Got it.
So I don't like horror shows or movies or
me
anything.
Either. Nope, same.
And you had said that to
yes.
me. And you said, hey, have you watched this? And I said, oh, God, no.
Why on earth would I do that?
Why?
That's exactly how I felt.
And you said that your wife, Hannah, was watching it.
Indeed.
And you said it was scary, but it was very well done.
Yes.
So I decide to maybe throw an episode on.
Good for you.
How bad can it be? So I was on call that night for work.
Mm-hmm.
So in an effort to allow my wife to sleep through the night without the phone ringing, I was sleep in our spare room.
Very kind of you. Very considerate.
I try. So I'm in what we call the on-call room.
Nice.
And I turn on Netflix, and I'm maybe 4 minutes into episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dark.
Yeah.
And it's kind of windy outside. Like, there are no worse conditions under which I could be watching this show by myself.
So I started watching it at night. The huge mistake.
Right. It was a windy night with odd sounds outside my window.
Perfect for someone who doesn't love a horror.
And I'm watching it alone.
Great. Ideal conditions.
And all of a sudden, I hear this noise, and I don't know what it is. And it sounds like someone in the next room had turned on the television.
Oh.
So I get up out of bed.
Wow. That impressive.
Well, yeah, it was like this weird adrenaline-filled response. I didn't even have a weapon. And thinking back, like, what would I have done?
Only your quick wit. That's
right?
all you had with you.
Jesus.
You had Jesus. You did have Jesus, I suppose.
I had Jesus and my sarcasm. So those are weapons against crime.
Title of my memoir.
And so it sounds like somebody in the next room had turned on the television. And I open up the bedroom door and I walk out in the living room and the television's on.
Good Lord.
So the television had turned on by itself.
Wow.
So I walk into our bedroom where Michelle is sleeping, and I said, without even seeing if she was awake, I just start saying, did you turn the television on? Because now I'm really scared.
Right.
And I think it's still blaring in the background.
Well, you didn't dare turn it off.
No,
You don't want to anger the spirits.
I didn't turn it on. I don't have the right to turn it off. It's not my show.
Somebody's watching it.
And she was like, what are you talking about? I said, did you turn on the television? She said, like earlier tonight. Yeah. I said,
When I
no.
was in that room,
when I was
perhaps.
watching it. I said, no, now, just now. And I'm realizing, oh, she was just sound asleep before I just barged in and started asking her weird questions. So I went back into the living room and I turned the television off. And I thought to myself, if the British Baking Show was on, I just would have sat down and watched an episode.
Just asked to no one in particular, would you like some popcorn? And
Exactly.
moved on with your life.
May I sit here?
It's just
May I
seat
sit
taken.
down? May I borrow part of this throw blanket?
That is the power
Yep.
of the British Bake Off. You're in no matter what the circumstance.
So I didn't know what to do, and now I'm wide awake.
Sure.
Because, the house is filled with spirits now and I can't sleep. So I Googled, why did my television turn on by itself? And apparently it's a thing
Oh.
with Samsung televisions.
No kidding.
Made me feel a tiny bit better.
That sounds like something the spirit world would write.
So I felt a little bit better, but now I'm kind of waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
And, I'll say to Michelle, did you hear that? No. So I think it just happened just the one time. But apparently with Samsung TVs,
They're possessed.
yep,
Good to know.
the house is just filled with evil demons and spirits.
It's never going to happen again when you're ready for it. Now you're ready for it. So
I'm
it's
ready for it.
Never going to happen
Yeah.
again.
So I guess that's the secret against ghosts in your house. Just be ready.
Just be
Be prepared.
ever vigilant.
Yep.
It's about scouting
Yep.
and ghost hunting.
Yep.
Be prepared.
See something? Say something. That's the motto here. I wanted to touch on something else, and I put a pin in it earlier, and I was reading Emily's email, and she had mentioned that I met her during the march.
Yes, the Women's March.
Yep. And I realized, and I guess I'm just not cognizant of my own protesting activity.
You don't keep a calendar?
No, and if somebody were to ask me how often do you protest, I would say very. If it was, often, occasionally,
Or a continuum.
rarely, or never.
Now we're talking public protests,
Oh.
not like day-to-day protesting things that come up. 'cause
No.
that would be far
That's
more
24/7.
Okay. All right, good.
365.
Got it. We're talking formal protests.
Right, like showing up somewhere to speak out against something or someone.
Yes.
But evidently, I do attend protests more often than I thought I did.
I mean, more often than the average person, probably.
But I wasn't really aware of that.
Interesting.
Because Emily met me at a protest. Well, it was a march, but it was still a protest.
Yeah.
We weren't meeting because everybody was happy. I went to a vigil/protest 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And again, I'm not aware of my own frequency of protesting. And it was at the Unitarian Church. So it drew like a fairly interesting crowd,
Yeah.
but mostly people who identified as female.
Mm-hmm.
And the age range was interesting, but there were a lot of women my age and older
Okay.
there.
Mhm.
Because that's what we do. We're not done being angry from the 80s. It's just like we're re-energized.
There's a lot of holdover energy.
There's
there.
a ton. I mean, the last thing you want to do is piss off a bunch of women in their 40s and 50s and 60s.
Right.
Because here's the thing. We do not care anymore.
Right.
We don't care who we piss off.
Mhm.
We don't care. We're done with the caring.
You use the word protest, but I think you demonstrate. And I think that's a better word
You know, I
because
think you're right.
you are demonstrating how you feel.
I'll
and-
hold up a sign and
Right.
chant
Exactly.
with people that I don't know.
And I respect that because I tend to cower.
Okay.
So if you demonstrate, I tend to cower. I
Okay.
tend to hide from my feelings about how I view things in the world and
Okay.
just bitch quietly to a certain circle of friends.
Okay.
I appreciate the fact that you demonstrate how you feel. And going to some of these things with you, we went to the Women's March together. It feels like that's a better way to go than the cowering. I will say that I felt much more accomplished having gone to the march than I would have if I had said, I don't know, stayed at home. But I think it's good. I think it's good that you actually do demonstrate how you feel about things. I think we could use a little bit more of that in general.
I think you're right, but I think I'm at this point now, and I think it's this perfect storm of the not caring,
Right.
and how things just kind of feel like they're spinning way out of control.
Yeah.
So I don't have the option of just staying home and doing nothing.
Right.
I don't. And is it going to change anything? I don't know. But I do know that when I gather with like-minded people and I hear what they have to say, and then I get to yell at a newscaster, I feel good.
If that's the recipe,
All the boxes are checked.
you just,
Yep.
you go with what works for
Yep.
you.
Maybe get some takeout on the way home.
Perfect
Trifecta.
day. Perfect day.
Perfect day. Did I tell you about the woman that started chanting like a...
What?
Maybe we should...
It's not about you, Michelle. It's fine. That stays the fuck in. That stays in. For anyone who didn't catch that, that was Michelle shouting from the other room, "Why are you whispering?" And then saying, "My birthday's next week."
That is fantastic.
Oh, man.
I feel like I have to go lie down now.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Coffee Podcast. Something about email, something about Twitter. We'll see you next week.
One of Mrs. Derek, one of Mrs. Kelly. Thank you. Bye-bye. So both Derek and I love the random question.
Yes, and we've heard that other people enjoy the random question as well.
And one of our listeners emailed us with a really great random question. Erica emailed us at bittercoffeepod@gmail.com. And her random question is, what technology exists today that you look back in 5 years and say, wow, we shouldn't have opened that door?
That is a
great
great question. That is an excellent question.
Yep. Thanks for the question,
Thanks
Erica.
for the question, Erica. So what do you think, Kelly? What do you think we're going to look back on 5 years from now and say, that was probably a mistake?
Probably this podcast mixer.
This one in particular?
This one right here. Just
podcast
this one
mixers.
right here. Yeah, because I look at that, and sometimes I listen to parts of the show, and exactly what Erica said comes to my mind. Wow, we shouldn't have opened that door.
These are all called blame knobs.
Yep.
And so anything...
turn up the blame knob.
Anything that goes wrong or we don't like.
Down.
So thank you for the question, Erica. The answer is our podcast mixer.
Do you have the same answer?
Can I just say Twitter? I feel like
Yeah.
Twitter, I feel that way now.
Yeah.
So I feel like in 5 years, I'll feel that way even more. I am on Twitter all the time. I like Twitter. I wish it didn't exist. So if I could
Fair enough.
go back and delete something, maybe Twitter would be my choice.
So have you ever thought about just...
Are you going to suggest stopping? Because I don't
know. I mean, that seems like a very
That's
harsh word,
not-
stopping.
That's not how I live my life.
Maybe taking a step back.
No, you got to lean in. You got to
Okay.
lean into the things that are harmful for your life.
All right.
Lessons that I've learned over the years.
Okay.
Make sure that you really lean in hard to the things that you think are detrimental to your day-to-day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing about self-preservation and keeping
No.
yourself sane.
I don't
and-
recall any of that.
Okay.
No, it's mostly just if something is bothering you or you think it's probably bad for you, do more of it.
Okay.
Yeah, generally I don't do that. So I've actually not lived my life in the way that I was taught.
Sure.
But in terms of Twitter, I lean hard.
I think, well, there's a lot of things that I don't like about different kinds of technology. I think smart TVs, in addition to the ones that randomly turn on and scare the hell out of me when I'm watching really scary series.
Spooky TVs by
Spooky
Samsung.
TV. I think smart TVs, like the fact that they can record us, like Alexa, Like anything that you can press a button and say something,
Yeah.
and like, where does that information go?
I am one of these people who is generally an early adopter of technology.
Mm-hmm.
We got an Amazon Echo when it first came out.
I remember.
In the, like, pre-order period.
Yep.
And I was so excited.
You
and
were super excited.
And I
about
remain
that.
excited about having it. But it is creepy. I think the recording things, they had that issue a little while ago where it was just saying things that were kind of creepy by itself. There's obviously concerns about what it's recording, how often it's recording.
Right.
We had to change the name on ours because my wife felt uncomfortable about us both shouting a woman's name randomly.
Fair
Alexa
enough.
just felt really weird.
Yeah.
And so we changed it to Amazon. But in general, I think those things, there's probably some realistic fears there that people have about all of your information going to the cloud and people listening all of the time.
Yeah, it worries me.
It's fine. What are they going to find out about me that people don't already know? We got a goddamn podcast, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, this is true. I guess we're pretty much putting ourselves out there.
No need for
Already.
cloud-connected devices.
No.
We just tune into iTunes,
It's true.
where you can subscribe now to the Bitter Coffee Podcast on iTunes.
Yes. As a matter of fact, you can. Derek, why don't you tell all of our listeners how they can subscribe to our podcast?
So, again, you can go to iTunes, search for Bitter Coffee, Coffey, and it will pop right up. You can subscribe there. If it only shows one episode, don't worry, that's fine. There'll be multiple episodes in there once you subscribe. It's just a thing with new podcasts on iTunes. You can also look for us on Stitcher, as Kelly mentioned. There are a couple other podcast services out there. If you look for us on your particular podcast service and you don't find us listed, please send us an email at bittercoffeepod@gmail.com. Look us up on Facebook, bittercoffeepod.com as well. That's all of the places that I can think of at the moment where you can get the podcast from.
I think we do have some subscribers.
We do.
I think what I'd like to do, I'd like to send them something.
Okay.
We should make coffee mugs. So let's
Ooh.
say this, like the first 50 subscribers
Mm-hmm.
get a limited edition. It's super limited because we haven't even ordered them yet.
Like non-existent, in fact.
A rare, a limited edition bitter coffee cup.
Love it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do that. First 50
First
folks.
50 subscribers.
And, give us a little bit of time because we have to create them and order them and
Figure out how to get your addresses.
Yeah.
And pack
all
them
that
up
stuff.
and send them to you.
All that stuff.
It's
But
fine.
yeah, let's
Folks will wait.
send some stuff out to
I love
people.
it. Let's do it. That's
So
a great
if
idea.
you subscribe, send us an email and let us know.
Yep.
And then we will reach out to you and get your address and all that stuff. And we'll send you some stuff.
Yeah.
They call it merch.
That's what they call it.
They call it merch.
And probably the first of a few things. We've got some ideas, some thoughts about what we might want to pronounce. I think coffee cups just make sense.
It does make sense. Maybe a t-shirt.
Okay.
I don't want to get... You know what expression I don't like?
Tell me.
I don't want to get too far ahead of my skis. Did you ever hear that expression?
Oh, wow.
It means I don't want to get ahead of myself.
No, and it makes sense. You said it, and the word skis did not, to me, read S-K-I-S. I definitely heard, like, I don't even know how you spell skis as in skeezy, but that's what
I think
I
it's
heard. I don't want to get too headed.
S-K-E-E-Z-E.
That sounds right.
Skis.
Skis.
Maybe
yeah.
that E on the end isn't necessary because you've got the two E's right in the middle.
So my brain, when you said it, put together the phrase, I don't want to get too ahead of my steez, like my style, and it made sense. So I had this weird back and forth in a couple of nanoseconds about, wait, like steez? Like don't get ahead of your style? No, she said skis. What skis doesn't make any sense. Like skeezy? No, like skis like skiing, you idiot. You live in Vermont. It's skiing. Like don't lean forward, you'll fall over. Oh, got it. And then you explained it.
A lot happened.
A lot
in those 2 seconds.
lot
Just
goes
a lot
on.
Of reflection.
I said to myself, Self,
So
what
I said to
does she
myself,
mean by
I said-
skis?
So I don't like the expression.
I don't blame you.
Let's not get too far ahead of our skis.
All right, well, I think we covered everything we wanted to talk about on the podcast today.
I feel like I've covered everything that we possibly can.
Again, if we had talked another hour and a half about British Bake Off, that would have been fine by me and probably fine by most of the listeners. Again, if you haven't seen the show, get out there and see it. It's fantastic.
Please.
But so I just want to thank everybody for listening to Bitter Coffee. Again, you can find myself on Twitter at Mobydiculous, MOBYDICKULOUS on Twitter. You can email us at bittercoffeepod@gmail.com. You can also check us out. We got a new website, bittercoffeepod.com. You can swing over there, get the podcast. You can subscribe to us on iTunes as well. Leave us a review. I do want to read iTunes reviews. I think that's something we both want to do, so please leave us a review over there. Our intro and outro music is Hold Me Down by John Worthy and the Bends.
See you next week, you guys.
Thanks for listening,
again.
everybody.
Bye-bye.